everyone, this is Dorothy from Bead World, and today we are going to be making a traditional mala. Malas can be made with any size beads you would like. You can use gemstones, you can use wood. Most malas are made with 6mm or 8mm size. Today we're going to use 8mm in the multi-matte Amazonite, and we are going to use 8mm in the lava rock as our marker beads and a 16mm lava rock as our guru bead. We're also going to be using some metals around the guru bead and some metals, some spacers around each of the marker beads. First thing we need to do is obviously select what beads you want to use, and then from that select your tassel and select your marker beads and your guru beads and any spacers if you want to add to it. We're actually going to be stringing today on what is known as medium macrame cord. It's a very, very strong cord that will string well and give you lots of malleability with your mala. We're going to be putting seed beads in between each of our beads, except for when we get around our marker beads. And today we're using these really pretty antique gold lined matte silver matte seed beads. First of all, I've set up my table. I've got 4 sections of 27 each gemstones, and I've got my seed beads here in the middle, which I'm going to use as to go in between each of my gemstones. I've got my tassel, I've got my cord, I've got my marker beads, and I've got my spacers. The reason this is important is malas have to be pretty exact. So you need 4 sections of 27 beads. And then in between those, the marker bead is going to be your ending bead with the tassel at the end. And these 3, the guru bead. And these 3 marker beads are going to go between each of these, so you know when you have counted off 27 beads. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is if you hold your cord kind of like this, it helps you scoop up those seed beads. So we're actually going to start with 2 of the seed beads. And then after that, we are going to start adding 1 section of our 27 beads. And this is a good time also, if you're using multi-beads like we're using here, it's a great time for you to be able to actually go through them and say, how do I want to order these? They're all different colors. Do I want my blues and then bring in some darks, or do I want to mix them up, blues and darks and greens? So it's a time for you to decide at this point how you want to add your beads. I am going to go through and I am loading 1 8mm gemstone and then 1 seed bead in the middle. And remember, we started this with the 2 seed beads at first that we loaded, and then we're going to end with 2 seed beads. But what is important is when we get to our marker beads, after we load our 27 beads, we are not going to put a seed bead between the 27th bead and the spacer beads that we have. So we're going to pause for a second to give everyone a chance to load their 27 beads, and whether or not you're using seed beads, to put those in the middle. We'll be right back. See, I have loaded my 27th bead, and on here I did not put a seed bead. But before we go any further, I need to show you guys, if you're not familiar with this is known as a bead stopper, and it's really nice to use. And I'm just going to put it on the other end of my cord, because when I teach classes, I also have the ladies and gentlemen put the bead stopper on, because every time I teach a class, it never fails. Somebody holds up the string like this and says, oh, look how pretty this is. And then all the beads go rolling off the other side of the string. So the bead stopper comes in extremely handy to prevent that from happening. So we are here now with our 27th bead. We've loaded our first section of 27. We've got our really pretty seed beads in between, which is really beautiful with this Amazonite. And now we need to load our first set of marker beads. So we're going to load the first 5mm spacer bead, and then we're going to load the first marker bead, which is the white lava rock, and then we're going to load another 5mm spacer bead. Now, you will easily be able to tell as you're going through this, whether you use this for it's really pretty and I just want one to wear, or if you're actually putting it into practical use and you're meditating with the mala. You'll easily be able to tell when you get here, and that tells you when you've ended your first 27 sections of beads. Now we're actually going to start with our second section of 27 beads, and we're not going to put a seed bead here. We're going to go back to just loading the gemstone and then a seed bead. And then I'm going to sit here and I'm going to load the remaining rest of this mala. Please keep in mind, again, great idea to section them out, because when you know you've loaded this section, you need to go back and load your marker bead, this section, your marker bead with your spacers, and then this section. And then I will be back when I've got this section loaded and everything else on here is loaded except for these guys. And then we will pick it back up and I'll show you how to close it. See you soon. Hi guys, welcome back. So you should now have all 108 of your beads loaded, and you should have 3 sets in this case, or 3 marker beads. So this is kind of what mine looks like. Everything is loaded and my marker beads are on. Now on how we're going to finish this. We are going to, just as we started, we're going to end by adding 2 seed beads. Now I am going to move the seed beads over out of the way because we are done with them. I want to make my 2 ends now even. So the way we're going to do that is you just hold your 2 seed bead groups together. You also at this point want to make sure that everything is pushed down and everything is tight on your mala, so when we're finished, you don't find gaps. Because if you find gaps on your string when we're finished, that means you're going to have to restring the whole thing. So take this time to push them all down and make sure they're all even and you have no gaps on your cord. We've got our ending 2 beads here. What we're going to do now is just tie a simple overhand knot, and we're going to pull our beads together, and then we're going to do that one more time, and we're going to pull it really, really, really tight. Now we're going to put our 2 cords together, and we're going to go through, we're going to cut them off to where they're the same length, which will make it a little easier. Then we're going to go through our first spacer bead, and we're going to go through our spacer metal with both cords. Now, the nice thing about this metal, it's a 7mm, and it has a large hole big enough to be able to put both of those cords through. Then we're going to go through our guru bead. Now, if you don't want to use a large hole guru bead, you can use a different size cord. We've got this macrame cord in heavy, medium, fine, and micro. What we're using today is the medium, and medium is the one most used. And as you can see through here, you could probably get a heavy through here if you wanted to, or you could probably get both of these mediums through a 16mm bead, because the larger the bead, the larger the hole. Then we're going to go through our second spacer bead, and then we're going to take our tassel and we're going to make sure that he's all nice and pretty the way we want him. Then we're going to go through the loop on the end of the tassel. Now we're going to come back up and we're actually going to go back through those 3 beads again. We're going to go through our spacer bead, and you may have to cut your cord again to get them all the same length. And then we're going to go back through our guru bead, and we're going to pull it. And then we're going to go back through our last spacer bead. Now, here comes the fun part that I absolutely love. Because we have a large hole guru bead, what we want to do is hide this bad boy, the end of the tassel, and that way that'll put your tassel right up underneath here. So all you have to do is straighten him out and pull him up through. Did you guys see that? Let me do it one more time so you'll see. This is really cool. All you have to do is take your tassel head, if it is thread, and pull him up through those large hole beads, and there he goes. Now your tassel is right on top, and pull him tight and pull him up next to where we tied that last knot. And then you see how my cord is coming out here? You want to start with this cord being up, and you want to just tie, again, 2 overhand knots. Pull it tight, 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 tight. And like with tying elastic, I try to do mine on different sides, but I always end up having to turn it around. So Just to make sure we've got everything set, we're going to turn this over. We're going to bring our cords around to the other side, and we're going to do that double knot again. You want to make sure it's going right between your last seed beads and that first spacer, and you want to tie it really, really tight. Then you want to do it again. When this is said and done, the knot is almost invisible, which is a really nice thing about this particular way of making a mala and this particular design. You've got your traditional mala, sections of 27, plus then you have your marker beads, and then you have 2 more sections of 27 and your marker bead at the top. And this is an absolutely beautiful mala, but we're not finished. We got one more step to go. Actually, we have 2 more steps. What we want to do is add some glue. That way that just secures our knots a little bit more. The glue I'm using is the GS Hypo Fabric Cement. This is amazing glue, and I love this for several reasons. One, it has this little pen head that helps you put the glue exactly where you want it. It comes out very slowly, it doesn't glob, and it's amazing for doing things such as this. So what you want to do is just put the glue on there to make sure that when you cut these tails off later, that your knot's definitely going to stay. So all I'm doing is just dabbing a little bit of glue on, and then that's it. I am done. So what we do need to do is let the glue dry. And once the glue has dried, then you can cut these tails off. I would give it probably at least 3 or 4 hours before I cut these tails off. And then you have an amazing mala that has your 4 sections of 27 beads. It has 3 of your marker beads, and it has your guru bead with your tassel. Absolutely beautiful mala. Hope you guys enjoyed. We want to make your next project successful, and we'll talk to you soon.